Our state has some incredible problems. My name is Lynn Hinderrocker. I'm here to talk about that with you and talk about the trends that have shaped this state and dragged us in one direction or another. We're not really we're not realizing the dream we had way back in the early 2000s or even around 2008 or 9 or 10. My name is Lynn Hinderrocker. Welcome to WowBiz Nebraska. We're going to get it on right now. What is a community really, and do you belong to one? And what do you get out of being part of a community? And what kind of a business community, what should a business community be doing for you? I'm Lynn Hinderrocker with WowBiz Nebraska. I'm here with my good friend and commentator, Mr. Bruce Arant. We're going to kick it around. We're going to figure out, we're going to redefine what community can be for your company, your brand, and at a personal level, your degree of fulfillment. Bruce, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You know, this whole community thing, we've talked a little bit about it before. Some people think they're part of a community, but it doesn't actually, there's not a lot of interaction really. What are your thoughts about in business, what a community should be?
You just said the word, the magic word, that interaction is what makes a community. You could have a crowd of people, but until they really interact at some level, they don't become a community.
Yeah.
So, you know, whether it's in business or whatever application it might be,
yeah,
they have to have that interaction. It creates a level of intimacy in a sense, but just that person-to-person thing creates the community.
Yeah. Now let's take interaction to the next level.
Okay.
And I'm going to play around with this a little bit and say engagement. That's a little deeper interaction.
Right. Right.
And then let's go to the next level, which I think a lot of people would be collaboration.
Yes, because then you really have to trust.
You have to trust. You're profound today. I have to tell you, you've got great insights. But yeah, I mean, you know, we talked before about the Nebraska online community. Right. My question to you is, how do we weave these insights into? We'll use Nebraska as an example. Doesn't have to be the only one, but. And you know, when somebody says, I like the idea of being part of a membership, some kind of a thing where people do things together or whatever, what do you guys do? You know, what would be a great answer in terms of the mechanics of, I want to say choreographing collaboration, but I'm not sure if that's the right thing to do either.
I don't know that this is the right exact answer to what you're asking, but in my mind, I think people have to be open to looking beyond themselves, looking beyond their own capabilities to see how they could either contribute or receive the gifts, so to speak, of another business partner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to somehow have a strategic alliance to where they can actually together, you know, I hate that, it's so trite to say 1 + 1 = 3, but it really can be that.
That's the aspiration.
That is the aspiration, yeah.
And I think it can happen. I just wonder in the world of business, you know, everybody's so busy, so efficient, you know, get things done, and they're focused on themselves and being productive.
Sure.
And I think it's almost a mindset problem because, you know, it's so rare that somebody says, no, wait a minute, it's 2:30, I should call Harry over there and just shoot the bull for a little bit. You know, I mean, that's not how most of us operate.
No, but it probably would be helpful and beneficial if you did.
Right, that's kind of what I'm saying, you know. I mean, there's a lot to be learned by that. And I'm going to stick a new metaphor into the middle of this very important conversation. You know, I occasionally take my grandchildren to play a playground, you know, and they're young and so they love to get on the swing set and the slides and stuff. And there's, you know, as you know, many other children. Right? And they're all kind of running around. Nobody knows each other. And yet, if I sit there and I watch them carefully, I see them communicating with other children. It seems like they kind of build bridges slightly, and pretty soon they're playing tag with each other, and then pretty soon they're sitting down in the sand and like building little sand castles together, whatever. And you know, I'm talking 15 minutes now, and I find this revelatory, to be absolutely honest.
Because they're doing the very things that you said. They're interacting, they're engaging, and they're collaborating. They're building a sandcastle together.
Yeah.
You know, something like that, and they don't even know each other. And they didn't know each other, like I say, 15 minutes ago.
And I think it's so powerful.
Well, it's a good lesson to the rest of us, I guess,
it really is. It becomes a metaphor for innovation.
Yeah.
You know, this is another thing people say, well, Lynn, you know, you're always talking about innovation. How do people really do it, you know? And I think the answer is you have to get off somewhere where the rules of business don't really apply, and you can kind of hang out and I'm thinking 2, 3 people. It doesn't take a big group. In fact, a big group kind of slows it down.
Yeah, that squashes it.
Right, and people can kind of, quote, play together, shall we say, thinking about the industry and but in very wide parameters, nothing too constrictive.
Here's the thing, though, that people need to remember in business, and I've seen it, you've seen it, is they have to be willing to let their guard down a little bit.
Oh yeah,
because everybody's holding everything close to the
oh
to
yeah,
the vest,
they want to own it,
and they're afraid somebody's going to steal an idea or something like that. Which that's a legit fear in some cases, but more often than not, it's sort of over fearing.
Yes.
And I think we need to
I agree.
allow ourselves to play.
Yes.
And to be able to have honest discussions about the industry, and especially if we're 2 companies or 3 companies in the same industry, I would think that
now we're stumbling onto something maybe kind of big. We went from discussing community in pretty clear-cut terms.
Right.
We eased over into talking about innovation and the metaphorical value of play. Right.
Right.
That's kind of interesting. So when you think about play, are those people that are playing, are they a community? I say yes.
I would say they are, if they're actually truly being authentic.
Well, they have something in common.
Yes, and authentic with their play, with their interaction, with their engagement, that kind of thing. Yeah, then they would be a community.
Well, if you wanted somebody to become a community, let's say, for instance, you have a bunch of members of Nebraska or some other group. It could be the Chamber of Commerce, for that matter.
Okay.
And you introduce play to them, or you put them in some kind of environment and say, look, we're going to play for half an hour. It doesn't matter if you come up with something or it's whatever.
Right.
You take all the rules off and say, just hang out with this product, this brand, these components, this technology, see what you come up with, and in fact, write a story between the 3 or 4 of you and tell us what that's going to be, and then walk away.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter to us if you come up with something or not. When you release all those constrictions, I think people come together quickly.
Yeah.
They can. And then when they discover something together, say, what a community you guys have become in a short period. I don't know.
And that's how, theoretically, how new products and services are developed.
That is. When you take off, they used to call it skunk works, is what they
Yes.
kind of
Right.
refer to it as.
Right.
The problem with that, and then we'll go on to this next thing, the problem with that is I think there's a lot of employees over here that are saying, well, those guys get to go, hang out and do fun things, and they're going to get a lot of bonuses and make a lot of money, and we're not involved, and that's not fair. There is that.
Oh, sure there is.
It becomes political.
Yeah, yeah.
And that, as a leader, is a very important thing.
That's
You've got to kind of balance that.
That's what takes the fun out of trying to be innovative as a company.
Right, because then they'll say, well, you guys never invited me into your little innovation group over there, and so I'm not going to applaud when the boss says, hey, these guys, huh?
Yeah.
I think
we were in the same. We've
we've gone through this before.
Yeah.
I've been on both ends of that deal,
Yeah,
by
I
the
have
way.
too. I have too.
Fascinating. Well, Bruce Arant, let's take a quick shift here and talk about habits and why they form and why they don't form. And I'm going to hold up this book here, but you're the one that really did the research. James Clear's book right here, and he talks about atomic habits, right?
It's a really, from what to be transparent, I haven't read the whole thing, but I've done a pretty good review on the book.
Sure.
And it's
the secret to results that last.
Yeah.
Nothing lasts in this world, by the way.
No.
It's great.
I suppose the gist of this would be talking about how we form either good habits or bad habits, building good habits or breaking bad habits, but doing, in either sense, doing it incrementally.
Small
You don't come
increments.
up with a new habit in one big swoop.
Yeah.
It usually builds over time with little, small, incremental steps.
What would be an example of a small habit that you want to work on or something like that?
Do you want it to be a good habit or a bad habit?
Well, let's say a good one.
Okay. Because I was going to say,
We'll start with the bad one.
I was going to say smoking.
Okay.
There's one. You might try it behind
Instead
the
of 20 cigarettes a day, 19.
Well, you might start behind the woodshed with your buddy when you're 10.
Right,
and,
right.
Down
Yeah.
the road, you're 4 packs a day. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
and I know but that's the truth. That's
Yeah.
how it's incremental. Good habits, I think a good habit would be in terms of the way maybe you are less exercising, let's say.
Oh, okay.
You know.
I knew you were coming around to that.
So I'm not trying to make you feel guilty.
It's always the one that's the most frustrating thing, you know.
Yeah, but one thing that this fella said is try to change your environment, change the place that you're doing certain things to make the habits easier to build.
Now, this is something I want our audience to kind of hone in on, because this is a little unusual. I think it's a very fresh, elaborate just a little bit on that,
he said,
the impact of environment on habits.
Yeah, he said, like if you wanted to go to a new coffee shop to work on your stuff, and that will open up your mind to maybe create new habits of doing different work or something,
Yeah.
It's kind of controlling be the architect of your own design of your environment,
But you're saying something really powerful here, and that is that the physical environment and your awareness of the physical environment can impact your psyche. Now that's a mysterious, I mean, you could go down that rat hole and say, why? Why does that have anything to do with my ability to do something different, think differently?
I don't know, but for instance, me personally, I have a hard time working from my house, doing my work.
Yeah.
But I've got a studio downtown. Yeah. And that's where I go, and I feel like I'm in my workspace.
Yes.
And it's a different environment.
Yeah.
So that for me is how that would manifest.
Sure.
itself.
And I think that's fairly common. There are other people that get stimulated by just going from one place to the next all the time, just kind of floating around.
Right.
And stimulating themselves in that particular way. Well, tell us a little bit more about Atomic Habits here. We got 2-3 minutes left. Give us just a quick highlight.
I made some notes. I had 3 sentences I really like here. Real change comes from the compound effects of hundreds of small decisions or habits that form over time and accumulate to produce remarkable results. Again, hundreds of
I'm making a small decision right now to continue. Okay. Go ahead.
To achieve our
goals.
It's
a good habit, by the way.
Yeah, to achieve our goals, we need to first build systems made of single processes and habits that will take us to our goals.
I've never heard of that before.
You have to kind of build systems that will help you develop these habits.
Yeah.
I mean, that takes a lot of discipline.
It does.
But it tends to work, apparently. Habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. It's the good and bad things that we do each and every day that compound over time to create real change. So again, it's those small little things that you do. I don't know, I found it to be a pretty fascinating concept.
It all adds up, doesn't it?
It does all add up.
It's cumulative.
It is, yeah.
Incremental and cumulative. 2 very good words, by the way.
They are.
By the way, speaking of good words, did you ever know what I came up with for where we're going right now with high-tech wearables?
No.
You know that wearing Fitbit things and coats that have different things. They read your temperature and things like that.
Right.
You heard about that? Don't know about that?
Yeah, did you come up with a word?
A word that describes it. It's going to be a big, giant national conference featuring all these manufacturers that have wearables.
Yeah.
And it's a trend, and it will be called Organitech.
Ooh.
Huh? Isn't that a high five? You better high five me. That is a great word, Organitech.
You better patent that or copyright it before.
Oh, I'm in deep doo-doo now. I mean, the vast millions of viewers, you know what I'm saying?
I know.
Somebody's going to say, I'm going to go ahead and do that.
That is a good word.
It's not a bad one, is it?
Organitech.
It's almost as good as Urban Natural.
Almost, but not quite.
But that's pretty good. All right. Bruce and Arant, thank you so much for your contribution with Atomic Habits right here on the first half of WowBiz Nebraska. It's a pleasure to have you here today. We missed you for months, and it's so great to have you back.
Thank you.
All right. This portion of WowBiz Nebraska is brought to you by Nebraska Plus. Let me say that again, Nebraska Plus. This is the 4-sided, 4-dimensional paradigm for attracting workers, talent to your community and keeping them there for indefinitely, actually. We're hoping that you pay attention to this formula. It's a really interesting one. It's taken 20 years, frankly, to develop, and it's based upon research from young professionals in the state of Nebraska. I'll let you know right off the bat. First of all, they say you know, it's not all about all work. We've got to find some place to live that we enjoy ourselves and so on. It's got a good vibe around it. People are having a good time. There's a little bit of action and so on. So I'm telling you to refocus on your downtown. I've seen a lot of downtowns across the state of Nebraska. Many of them are under thought, shall we say, and they're focused on cost efficiency when they develop them and so on. I got to tell you that right now, if you build a high contrast downtown, that would mean wood, maybe cedar for instance, and glass, wood and metal, wood and steel, wood and tin, and you have buildings, multi-story if possible, in your downtown, kind of dominating your downtown. You're going to stimulate good vibes. By the way, I got to tell you that phrase, good vibes, has now been written into the strategic plan for Omaha, Nebraska's downtown as well. So this is really a key phrase, the ability to elevate the mood of the tenants and residents that live in your downtown. Absolutely critical. So you need to know about urban natural design. But secondly, there's 4 pieces to this. The second one, of course, is the the Nebraska network, which of course is an ecosystem, a community. Business owners across the entire state of Nebraska can belong to this. It's a consulting opportunity. Many people are trying to figure out what to do with the company, and do we work on management? Do we work on product development, innovation, whatever? If you're a member of Nebraska, you have resources that will help you make those decisions and move forward with your team, energize your culture, grab market share, reinvent yourself after the pandemic. So that's Nebraska. Now, another issue with young folks here in the state, and why they leave, by the way, is because many of the business owners in the state are so conservative, so traditional. They kind of stick with their existing model of getting business done and value and all that kind of thing, and they just don't even think about changing the model. But here we are in a period of fluctuation and rapid change, digital transformation, for instance, and these young folks are looking for business cultures where they can grow, where their input is welcome, and they can lead initiatives, and of course the word innovation comes up all the time. So we've got to make some kind of a cultural shift. We provide management training to business owners, believe it or not, about how to manage Gen Y and Gen Z as they come into your culture and your workforce, how to handle them and how to make them happy and fulfilled, and of course contributing to the bottom line right there, but also the greater good, all right? So that's the third. And then finally the fourth. This has been pointed out to us several times. We have a real issue in the state of Nebraska with business succession. How in the world do you find a young person to come in and take over your company? If you're a baby boomer, you want to retire, you've got a nice firm, you put 20 or 30 years into it. How do you find the right person to take it over? Now, admittedly, some of your employees might be great candidates, but maybe not. It just depends on your culture and your industry and what you're doing in that regard. But you've got to find a successor. And by the way, there's got to be financing involved, typically. So a succession model is a part of the 4-sided system that I just mentioned, so that we can continue these businesses and they don't have to decline and just go away. A tremendous amount of effort has gone into them. So we have downtown revival and restoration and rethinking with urban natural design. We have Nebraska. We have management and business owner training. And of course, we have business succession. Those are 4 key factors for success in your community. That's how you're going to attract and retain talent. That is the Nebraska Plus system, and I stand by that. I guarantee you that's the way it's going to go down. Contact the folks at Nebraska.com and they'll tell you a little bit more, and I think you'll be happy about your long-term investment in Nebraska Plus. There we go. Those are the sponsors of WowBiz Nebraska here, and I'm here with Bruce Arant. Thank goodness he's hanging in there with us, and we're going to do a lot of cool stuff. We're going to talk about some more great stuff. Right?
Good.
Right here in WowBiz Nebraska. And we talked already, Bruce, about habits, right? We talked already about what a community is. We've discussed innovation. So we've touched on some pretty hot topics so far. Now we're going to talk a little bit about many businesses. Well, I'm sure you'll tell us who the big company that comes to mind, but many of us are looking for, many business owners here in Nebraska are looking for strategic alternatives, all right? They get they're not hitting their profit numbers, It's been 2 years. They've had 2 rough years. Some of them have investors that are saying, come on, we got to do something different, something better. And so they sit there. I don't know if you've been in part of these planning sessions or not, but it's a wide open thing. You got a lot of people, the board directors, you got people from the floor, salespeople who talk to customers. You say, what can we do, right, to bolster profits and kind of come back in the marketplace?
There was a recent article in the Wall Street.
Yeah.
About I cannot pull up his name.
Ben Bath?
Yeah, but it's a guy who is a activist investor in Bed and Bath and Beyond, and he's actually really wanting to shake this thing up.
Yeah.
To where he's suggesting that they actually do different strategies like reduce the amount of product they have in the stores. He thinks they have too much.
Reduce the variety, so
right.
Take some of the lines away.
Yeah, and just trying to streamline everything in that way. But it's sort of like then that raises a lot of questions like, well, what about Amazon? What about Target? They're going to have more things. He wants to have more. He wants to start up a whole line of private labels. Yeah,
stuff.
So I mean, he's really coming up with some innovative approaches.
He really is.
Now, whether or not that all is going to work, I don't know. But
well, I mean, you can debate each one of those points, of course.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, I think the status quo is the enemy right now.
Right.
I don't care who you are or where you're at. The world is changing so rapidly that if you don't have 2 or 3 alternative strategies at your fingertips, you're not going to be in the game.
Yeah.
That would be my thought.
And as disruptive or disturbing as the change is for corporations, I mean, if you don't have that at least on the table to at least consider, I think you're in trouble.
Yeah,
so he's putting those things out there for them to.
He really is. He really is. And let's talk about the private label thing for a second. Now, private label enables them, generally speaking, right, to produce basically the same stuff that's on the shelf for less.
Right.
Right. I don't know if you're getting the work done in China or someplace else. That's a whole different issue. But you should be able to make a larger profit margin on private label stuff.
Right.
And if you do a high quality, maybe a little branding and advertising, you can kind of build that up. That might be a cool idea.
The risk I think you run into is the supply chain.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays. I mean, we don't know how that's going to all go, but that's where you run into, and you'd run into supply chain problems with anybody.
Yeah.
But especially if you're going to be trying to manufacture your own water bottles or whatever it is you're making.
True. That could be a show in itself about how to introduce a private label line.
Yeah.
Because I could see us, or them introducing maybe 3 items, right? And make a big deal about them, new displays and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then based upon supply side reliability, in comes 4 to 6, 8 more items, that kind of thing. And stage it so it looks deliberate rather than accidental.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But I want to go to the next level with that. And I think there's always the opportunity to look at the unwashed masses.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. In other words, figuring out, there's these people over here, they never come into Bed Bath & Beyond, they don't know anything about us.
Right.
Those people. And trying to figure out how to get exponential growth by tapping into, finding some underserviced need that they have. This is a domestic retail operation, Bed Bath & Beyond. But we could talk in broader terms. But the idea is to somehow get to them, and maybe it's a service thing. Maybe it doesn't have anything to do with actually a product sitting on a shelf.
Right. Could be.
That could be interesting.
That's really out of the box.
Well,
yeah. I mean,
but
for that kind of a
if you've got bed and you have bath, and they say beyond, they're implying boundaryless, stuff.
Right.
So maybe they get into the business of house cleaning.
House cleaning.
There's something. What if they get into carpet cleaning? That'd be something.
Yeah, landscaping, whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, why not? And with the efficiencies and the money they have behind them, they might be able to really compete strongly against some of the just mom and pop operations or any community.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You just have to just really think hard about what lane you want to go into, and then test that out.
I think that redefining the brand constantly and making it bigger and more robust. Now you can spread your wings too far and end up not being able to follow through. I mean, I get that.
Right.
But still, being able to do a little research and said Bed Bath & Beyond, so that could be a new logo, could be BBB, triple B, right? And then go out and say, well, we have a carpet steam cleaning service, you know, and we also are featuring Bruce Arant's bed things, you know, things that you put on your bed, and it'll make your children sleepy, and you can buy it, and it's featured in the middle of our store. You know, introducing, seriously, branded, you know, special branded stuff, that may have, you know, a linkage to books or in some other category again. So that's boundaryless. Right now, you're kind of really, you know, but what about technology? Wouldn't that be cool to have an app, a triple B app?
Yeah.
Say, in my den, I'm depressed, but in the kitchen, I'm energetic and fancy-free. And so I'm going to push the depression button, and something from Bed Bath & Beyond is going to come on and say, take 3 deep breaths. You know, and you listen to water in the background. Okay? Brought to you by Bed Bath & Beyond.
There you go. I think we
you get away on the show by saying, there you go.
I think we ought to call them right now.
Well, you know, I know you think I'm being silly, but really.
But that's huge. You know, diversification is
diversification,
key.
As long as it can be brought back to the brand.
Right.
And it seems, and the quality level is, you know, consistent. You know,
if it seems like it's part of the family of that, you know, of that group, then
part of the brand community, perhaps.
Right. There you go.
And it fits into the story behind Bed Bath & Beyond, which takes me to this. Okay. All right, now I'm going to read this for our audience, and we'll wrap up. There is power. This is in the New York Times, right?
Okay.
There is power in being seen, and there is strength in documenting our stories. Huh? And you know, more and more, I think people get this. Personal branding goes back to, what's your story? Now, Bed Bath & Beyond, I don't know what their story is exactly. But I know that if they're helping the family and they're helping homes and so on,
that's the image, at least.
They could come up with a story that would be coherent and emotional.
Right.
Not just, well, here's our product and here's a product, you might want to buy this, but pulling them all together around some kind of a heartfelt story.
Right. A sense of
cohesion.
Yeah, cohesion. That's where I'm going.
Something like that.
Yeah, belonging.
Yeah, belonging. All right, well, Bruce, thank you so much for being on again here today. You make every show special. We appreciate your help.
Thank you.
And this is WowBiz Nebraska. I'm Lynn Hinderrocker. We're having another great time, another great show. Don't miss this show. We're constantly wrapping you up with ideas and concepts you don't hear anywhere else. By the way, check out Nebraska Plus, our promotional sponsor for this show. Thank you so much. Once again, I'm Lynn Hinderrocker. We'll see you next time with Mr. Bruce Arant.